Hi guys, my name is Lauren and you're watching Dreams Life Courage. So today I kind of wanted to do a video sort of similar to the video that I did last week on this channel, and that was my current style favorites. And this week I want to do my current TV show favorites. Before I actually record a full-on favorites video, which I'm going to be doing next month, some of the topics that I'm going to be talking about in my favorites videos are just kind of too long right now to just talk about in one favorites video. So I just wanted to do them in different facets at first, and then at the end of the month I'll be able to just do one complete video. Just keep in mind that the TV shows that I'm going to be talking about today are probably not going to be my favorites video, just because then I feel like I'm talking about them a little bit too much. But I have thought about doing a monthly watching wrap-up video in which I would go over how many seasons and what episodes I saw of different shows, and also go over my movies and that. So if you want me to do a video sort of like that, definitely tell me down in the comments, because I think it'd be really interesting, but I will only do it if you guys also think that's interesting. So I'm usually not a huge television show watcher, and I'm still kind of not, but I occasionally do watch these shows on Netflix, and I definitely do want to finish all these shows because I just love them so much. I just kind of wanted to talk about what these shows are about with you guys, and also maybe be interested in seeing them. Or if you already love these shows, definitely tell me down in the comments so then we can fangirl over these amazing shows. But just so you know, all these shows are available on Netflix except for the first one that I'm going to be talking about. Just keep in mind that you might want to add these to your list on Netflix in case you want to watch them in the future. But anyways, let's go ahead and get right into these TV shows. So the first show that I'm going to be talking about is not on Netflix, but it is on Amazon Prime. So if you have an Amazon Prime account, then you're definitely in luck, because this show has been one of my favorites over the years, and that is Doctor Who. This is a show that I'm currently watching and also rewatching depending on the episode. Most of what I've watched of Doctor Who has been on BBC, so I kind of have watched the show sporadically over the years. And I feel like that's a great thing about Doctor Who. You don't really have to watch a specific doctor or a specific season. You can just kind of go into the show without knowing too much about it and just jump into this amazing adventure to this amazing place. So right now I'm in season 5 of the current Doctor Who series, and season 5 is one of my favorites because it has my favorite doctor, who is Matt Smith. This show is about a Time Lord who is part of an ancient race that has all died off besides him, and so the last remaining Time Lord travels through time and space in what is known as a TARDIS. And he is known by the name of the Doctor, and just only the Doctor. I really want to go back through the series from the beginning of the new series. I'm not too interested in the old ones, but the reason that I started on season 5 was because I was watching it with my roommate Joanne. If you start out Doctor Who with season 1, although it's really great and the writing is on point, the special effects definitely are not, and they definitely get better over the seasons. So if you watch season 1 from a 2016 special effects perspective, it's kind of harder to appreciate the show, and you can kind of end up looking at it more as a joke, and that sucks. So basically, in order to ensure that my roommate would enjoy the show, I started with season 5 because Matt Smith is my favorite. I love all of his episodes. They're so well done. I just love it so much. And this is really the season that made me fall in love with Doctor Who, and I think it can also make a lot of other people fall in love with Doctor Who. I feel like some people are turned off whenever they start with season 1, and I don't think it'll ruin any spoilers for you if you start with season 5. I've only seen one episode with the current Doctor, so if you guys enjoy the Doctor Who series and you continue to watch it, definitely tell me down below if it's really good. But yes, although I'm in the middle of season 5, I think I'm going to start back over with season 1 just because I feel like doing that way. And then I'll just watch Matt Smith's episodes over again because I love them so much, and I really don't mind. Doctor Who is just so well done. One of my favorite episodes is called The Shakespeare Code, and it has David Tennant as the Doctor, and they actually see Shakespeare in his time and just see him growing as this amazing genius, and it's just so cool to watch, and it just makes me nerd out every single time I've seen it. I've seen it like at least 3 times now. And then another one of my favorite episodes is the one starring Vincent Van Gogh. I don't remember which one it is, but it has Matt Smith in it, and that episode is so sweet and it makes me cry every time I've seen it. It's just so well done. Honestly, all of these episodes are so well done. Whether the Doctor is going to a totally made up place in space or you get to visit some part of history, either way this show is amazing, and it just makes you nerd out in like 1,000 different ways. So I would definitely recommend it if you're a nerd at all, if you like aliens. Even if you don't like aliens, just go watch Doctor Who. I would suggest to start at season 5 and at least watch like 1 season with Matt Smith because he's just so great. But really, I feel like you can start anywhere because the show is just so good. If you want to try to start with season 1, go ahead and go for it. I'm not saying think those episodes are bad at all. They're really good and the storyline is all there. It's just the special effects are kind of off because this show's been going for a long time. I don't remember how many seasons are out right now, but I feel like it's around 8 seasons. So obviously special effects have developed a lot throughout that time period. As I said before, that series is available on Amazon Prime, or you can just watch it on BBC. The next show is one that I didn't plan on talking about in this video because I'm mostly just talking about what I'm currently watching, but I feel like I have to mention it because it's part of this huge fandom of like super Sherlock fans, and that'll make more sense whenever I say what the other two shows are. But the one I'm going to be talking about right now is Sherlock, and oh my gosh, this show is amazing. I'm not sure if it's still available on Netflix right now. If not, it's probably available on Amazon Prime. I know BBC is switching up where they have their shows at right now, so I'm not sure which place it's at. But Sherlock is so good. I think it's worth an Amazon Prime account. Oh my gosh, I love the show. It stars Benedict Cumberbatch, and he is one of my favorites. He's so great, especially if you love Doctor Who. I don't know what you're doing with your life if you haven't seen Sherlock. I think it has quite a few of the same writers. It seems like the Sherlock within the series is kind of based off of Matt Smith as the Doctor. This show is so good. I feel like you can be like locked into it after just one episode of it. The only downfall of the series, and I feel like a lot of fans would agree with me, is that the seasons within this show, and they call them series in England, are very, very short. There are only 3 seasons / series, and each one of those only has 3 episodes in it, but those episodes are each an hour and a half long. So instead of episodes, they're more like full-on movies, but they're so incredible. They're perfectly done. If you guys know anything about the short stories of Sherlock Holmes, Sherlock is obviously based on that, but I don't think it follows a strict guideline as to what happens within those short stories. I've heard there are quite a few things that are different from the short stories, especially the fact that the Sherlock series is in modern day, and obviously the adventures of Sherlock Holmes are not in our modern day. The episodes are just so impeccable to me. I love every single part of them. You're never bored, and you're always like trying to figure out what the mystery is of it. And most of the time you have an arc of the episode, and then you have an arc of the entire season, and sometimes it's even an arc of the entire series. I know I keep saying it, but this show is so well done from season 1 to season 3. I highly recommend the show, especially since it's so short. It shouldn't take you that long to finish, and I would say just start with episode 1 of season 1. You can really watch these in order, and I think that after episode 1, or at least season 1, you'll definitely be hooked on the show. The next show that I'm going to be talking about kind of completes the whole trilogy of the super Sherlock fans, and that is Supernatural. I think I started this show like either early this year or very late last year, but shout out to my roommate / best friend Joanne for showing me this beautiful show. This show stars Jared Padalecki and Jensen Ackles, and they are the most beautiful people in the world. Really, I feel like you can just look at their faces and just already be hooked no matter what the show is. But not only is the cast very attractive, the show is also amazing on its own. This is also kind of a mystery type show where Dean and Sam, who are brothers, are trying to track down different supernatural creatures throughout the show. And then again, there are a lot of overlying arcs throughout the series, and they're all devastating and will crush your heart into a million pieces, but the show is so worth it. I'm currently in season 5 of the show, and I've kind of stopped for a while, but I definitely need to get back on it. I love the show so much. If you like Doctor Who or Sherlock or both and you're not watching the show, again, I do not know what you're doing with your life because you need to be watching Supernatural as well. This show is the longest running series that I'm going to be talking about today. I think it's currently at 11 seasons, and it's so amazing, and all the seasons are different and they have their own separate aesthetic. Again, it's just incredible, and it's hard to put into words because there's just so much going on in this show, and you really just can't say what it's all about at once. But I would say start at the very beginning at season 1, episode 1, and probably halfway through season 1 you should be hooked. But if not, definitely wait until season 2, or maybe even further to like season 3. Again, this is a show where the special effects aren't that great at the beginning of the series. It's because special effects just weren't that well developed at that time when they started the show, but they're so good now, and it's just an amazing show, and they're amazing people, and I just love everything about it so much. They have some episodes where it's very meta, and some are just very hilarious and funny, although most will break your heart, but the funny ones kind of break up the sad moments, but it's just so well done, and I feel like you'll really fall in love with the show. And with that, I'm going to conclude my talking about the super Sherlock fandom. These shows are definitely way lighter than the ones that I've been talking about previously, and these are the type of shows that I usually watch anyway ways because they're full of comedy and wit. So the type of humor that's in these shows is more witty than anything else. It's definitely not slapstick because I do not like that kind of comedy. Personally, I just don't really find it that funny, although I know a lot of people do. So first, I'm going to be talking about a show that is off air now, but I'm currently re-watching. So the first comedy show that I want to talk about is one that has been my favorite for such a long time, and that is The Office, the US version of it, which stars Steve Carell. Steve Carell is just such a genius actor to me, and so are all the other people that are on the cast of The Office. The show is just full of wit and humor in every single episode. One of the arcs is kind of like a romantic one, but then all the rest of the show is just so hilarious in so many different ways. And the basis of the show is as mundane as it sounds because all these people work at a paper supplying company, and you would think that that would be like a really boring setup to a show, but just the jokes they have and the humor, and it's just so relatable in so many ways. I feel like if you've ever worked anywhere, you can relate to one of these characters or another. My absolute favorite episode of The Office is called Stress Relief, and it's in season 5, episode 14, and it is so hilarious. If you watch this episode first, then you'll be spoiled for like the romantic sphere of this, so maybe you shouldn't watch it first. Honestly, I think that right off the show is hilarious, so you can really watch it from the first episode. It's so funny, this cast is so great, the humor is on point. I would definitely recommend the show if you love Parks and Recreation or Saturday Night Live or just like any shows with witty humor in it. Just please go watch this. It's on Netflix and the show is just so hilarious. I would recommend it to anyone. And the next show that I have to talk about is just as hilarious, and that is Parks and Recreation starring Amy Poehler. And the show is kind of based on The Office in some ways. Again, the show takes place at a mundane location, which is a Parks and Recreation department. And it's kind of like if a Parks and Recreation department was put on a reality TV show, and it is absolutely hilarious. Again, you have an amazing cast, and they're also hilarious in different ways. Along with Amy Poehler, you also have Aziz Ansari and Rob Lowe and so many other amazing actors and actresses. The show is definitely one that you can start off from the very beginning. It is so hilarious, and the humor of the show definitely comes through from the first episode. There is a little bit of romance in it, and those have like just really sweet moments in between all of the hilarity that ensues. But trust me, this is definitely not any type of like romance show. It's all out comedy. Some of my favorite episodes are Valentine's Day, and then I really like the Treat Yourself episode, but I don't remember what that one's called. But those two are hilarious, and Treat Yourself is definitely the way that I just want to live every single day of my life. The show is so funny, but it's also very uplifting, and the character that Amy Poehler plays just makes me want to be a better person. And so it's just a very positive and a happy show that I highly recommend. The next show just came out last year, and it only has 2 seasons so far, and that is Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. Oh my gosh, guys, this show is so hilarious and freaking ridiculous. Again, it kind of goes along the same guidelines of humor as the other 2 comedy shows that I've talked about, but this one is definitely all on its own on its level of ridiculousness. But if you've seen 30 Rock, it's a lot like that in the ways of how ridiculous it is, but it's just so well done. It's obviously about a girl named Kimmy, and she just came out of a bunker that she was trapped in for 15 years with this crazy guy, and so she's just really behind on the times, and she's trying to live in New York City. So she's very positive all the time, but she's kind of a little bit ditzy, but she's great. The entire cast once again is great. Tina Fey makes a lot of cameos in the show. The show is just all I want in a TV show. It makes me laugh every single time I've seen it. I've actually seen the first season of Kimmy Schmidt 3 entire times, and it's been so amazing every single time. This show actually might be my favorite comedy shows. I just love it so much. This show is obviously just so funny, and the writing is very well done, and it kind of brings up important issues in like the funniest and most ridiculous of ways. This show is only available on Netflix because it is a Netflix original show, but I feel like this show is definitely worth the subscription, and even if you don't think that, at least get the free trial of Netflix and try the show out, because I feel like it's definitely worth your time. The last show that I'm going to be talking about today is a cartoon comedy, although again along the same lines of humor, and that show is Bob's Burgers. Again, the show is absolutely hilarious. I feel like you have to have a certain sense of humor to enjoy the show, but I really enjoy it, and I feel like a lot of you might as well. At the very beginning of the series, I feel like the humor is not there as much, like it doesn't make you laugh every moment, but by season 3 it is so hilarious every single moment and just so on point with what it's saying. So maybe start with an episode from season 3 first, and then start at the very beginning if you enjoy it. Although I'd recommend this show if you like 30 Rock or The Office or Parks and Recreation. I would also recommend it if you like shows like Family Guy and South Park. Although trust me, this show is definitely not as slapstick as those other shows. There's way more witty humor in this, and there's really no no slapstick humor in it. I'm not sure if this one is necessarily kid-friendly, but it's definitely way more kid-friendly than those other two shows are. Again, the show is absolutely hilarious, and I would recommend that you give it a chance. Even if you don't typically like shows like Family Guy or South Park, I would definitely recommend that you give this one a chance because it is very different from those shows. I myself actually like Family Guy, although I don't like South Park, but if you have a witty sense of humor, definitely check this one out. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope that maybe you learned one new show to check out from it, and I would love to hear down below what your favorite TV show is so I can check that out too. Now that I've talked about all these amazing shows that I just love so much, I just feel like binge watching them all right now, so I'm probably gonna go on Netflix now. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.